Okay, folks. Well, it is April 12th as I record this video on Sunday. It is the beginning of the middle of April. Man, this year is flying by. And on the 15th, this Wednesday, it is the tax deadline or tax day. And I felt like this particular topic of discussion just fit because I wanted to talk about provisions and money. And I think about from Philippians 4, verse 19. And my God will meet all your needs according to the riches of his glory in Christ Jesus. And this verse was something that stood out to me because, I'm dealing with a lot tax wise because the IRS has pretty much put me in a blender, so to speak, because things that were submitted well over a year ago have been quote unquote missing, or hey, it doesn't say that you filed, or we don't see where it showed up in our system, despite that I have receipts and all sorts of confirmation of filing on time. So it's pretty much, the mishap of, hey, my headphones got tangled up in my pocket, or I'm trying to decorate for the holidays, but my Christmas lights are in a mess. So I have to sit down and meticulously go through like each inch of the wiring and cords to untangle it. That's the mess I'm in right now. But by the end of this middle of this upcoming week, I'll be halfway done at least resubmitting or filing / mailing stuff off. And then by the end of the month, I'll do the back half of the content that I need to file or mail off. Essentially, I'm focusing on the things that need to be sent into the IRS prior to the 16th, and then after the 16th I have some things to file that thankfully don't abide by the 15th deadline. So I'm going through it right now, and I feel like each and every day God shows up in some way, shape, or form via the proverbial ram in a bush. But I wanted to talk about this verse in particular because I think that the majority of people who listen to this video can understand where I'm coming from, where if there was ever a time for God to show up, this is it. And I don't mean like necessarily revelations or in the world or the trumpets blaring, but I mean to show up via provisions. Like when the Israelites traveled through the desert for 40 years and, he provided them with water and manna, and I think even birds from the sky as a source of meat, because things are just so hard. And I mean, come on now. I think I speak for a good amount of people listening when I say that most of us are living, paycheck to paycheck, or, you have little to no savings, and you just hope and pray you don't get into a accident, whether it be a vehicle accident, or you trip and fall and twist your ankle and you need to go to the hospital, or your car breaks down. Any sort of emergency like that would either dry up the remaining money you have in your account, or you'll have to not pay this bill or that bill in order to pay for the emergency that took place. And I know that when it comes to tax season, it could be beneficial to some, not so much to many. I know as a self-employed individual, I haven't received a refund in almost a decade. Like, ever since I started, doing content creation full time, I'm always owing something back. And, thankfully the IRS does have things like payment plans or back tax forgiveness. And I'm going to need some of that stuff considering my 4-year mess right now between, 2022, I'm getting those amended. There's nothing wrong with them. It's just like there were a bunch of deductibles I missed out on, and which could hopefully help me out because I paid an egregious amount of money to the IRS that year. 2023, lost in the shuffle. 2024, they don't have them, so I got to refile. 2025, I hope to get this, filed on time this week and go from there. But I know that, it's easy to want to blow money on, a new car and new wardrobe. But honestly, I think, from just looking around, more people have been watching their bank accounts carefully because typically, it isn't uncommon, at least in my neighborhood, when people get those tax refunds, oh, it's like new rides, or they're going to the casino, or they're doing this, that, and the third. No, given the fact that the cost of living is so high, it would be incredibly unwise to spend all your money in one go. Like, you file your taxes by the deadline, you get that direct deposit or that check, and it's gone within 48 hours. It's like things are just so tight. No one in their right mind would do that nowadays. They wouldn't. I mean, sure, there are people that would, but still. I just know that when it comes to any sort of financial come up, I typically pray for that wisdom, similar to Solomon, because it's one thing to get money, but it's another thing to keep it. It's another thing to take some of it, put it aside, and watch it grow. I know for me, I'm always trying to think ahead, like when it came to 2026 in general. I knew this year would be rough because I have so many financial goals to achieve. And by that, I mean paying down or paying off things, canceling my credit cards, getting those in a consolidation program, because I'm just looking at the long haul of, okay, God, let's see what the next 5 years look like. I want to get out of as much debt as possible. I want to finally get a retirement thing started because, hey, self-employed, I don't have a retirement or 401k. I got to make that from scratch. So I think that when it comes to God's provision, focus more on God providing your needs, not necessarily your greeds. Your cup runneth over. That's a beautiful thing because God can give and take away as he sees fit. And I'll tell you one thing, opening the mailbox and seeing another bill, it's like, oh man. But then sometimes, when that unexpected blessing comes through, and that's another thing. Sometimes I think, when God blesses me with like $100 here, or like, for example, I won $250 on a gift card from a trivia contest. And I'm like, if that ain't God. I got it a few days ago in the mail, and I'm like, okay, so I got this card. I could use it to buy groceries or pay this bill. But I'm like, you know what? Let me keep this card as an emergency thing only. So over the weekend, I sat down for a few hours. I looked through some Pokemon cards and picked out about 70 or 80 that are like, okay, these are like $3 to $5. This one is $9. And I took the time to take the photos and add them onto my eBay store. The value is about $800 or so. And some things have sold overnight. Hopefully more sells, because I'm thinking, let me see if I can get a decent amount of money from these cards. That way I can pay the light bill, get a little bit of groceries to tide me over until I get paid from YouTube next week. And hopefully some of that money rolls over into next month. Because sometimes I feel like if you can show God that you could take a little bit of a blessing and stretch it out, that's when you get blessed with more. Because I think that's another thing. So often we want God to provide and solve all of our problems for us. But the thing about that is, relying on him too much makes us complacent, because it's like, oh man, you know what? I just spent my last $100 on some lottery tickets, or I took a girl out and used all my money. So it's like, what's the big deal? I'll just pray God's going to give me that money back so I can pay my rent. Or God, I blew that $100, but I know who'll give me another 300, and then I'll do the same thing again. No. Faith without works is dead. But also I think wisdom, diligence, and making sure you are not being wasteful with what God provides you with is very important. Very important. Case in point, not trying to put my nephew on blast or anything, but recently he got upset with me because he can't, got some money, and he wanted to, and he did, spend $200 on a Lego set. And he was mad when I told him when we were in Dollar General the other day, because he's used to like me buying everything. But, he's about to turn 16. I'm like, hey, look, I know you're still in high school. I know you're not working. I'm not trying to put pressure on you, but as well as I do, things are kind of tight for me right now because I'm trying to pay stuff off this year, and I'm dealing with the IRS, and I don't want to be in a situation where I'm overdrafting my account or anything. And instead of me buying a full thing of groceries from Walmart to get delivered, I just can't, we go to Dollar General and we're just going to pick up a few things. That's it. So I told him, listen, just take $5 or $10 because you got a few hundred. Just buy you a box of Red Baron pizzas, like, 2 or 4 of them. That way you have 4 little mini personal sized pizzas in the freezer. He got so mad he didn't want to do it. He only bought 1 box. And the thing is, he doesn't stay with me 24/7 like he used to. He'll stay at my house out of the week about 4 days a week. And then go down to grandma's house for a few days, be with his mom. Then he'll come back during the school week. But I said, again, EJ, listen, you're about to be on spring break. I'm only getting a little bit of groceries halfway through the week for me. So, yeah. So he took that $200. And the reason he didn't want to spend that money, he didn't want it to dip into his Lego thing. He kept fighting and complaining. So he went ahead and I let him get it. But then I told him, I'm like, listen, I don't know what my finances is going to look like in the near future. So I have plenty of food that I eat because he's really picky. He only eats like 4 or 5 things, if you will, like pizza related things like a Hot Pocket, Red Baron or whatever, chicken patty, French fry, popcorn, shrimp. And then of course like toaster waffles for breakfast if he wants that, or if he'll, make himself an egg or whatever. But I just told him, it wouldn't have hurt to like buy no more than a $40 Lego, keep some of that money because, hey, summer's coming up. You can buy your own pair of Crocs. That way we aren't fighting over my pair to go outside. Or, if you wanted to buy, I don't know, something, you just have some money to the side. But it's just one of those things where I told him, like, listen, food's running thin for you in terms of what you eat. I don't get paid till the 21st. So eat that Lego set. So I tell him, I'm trying to teach him now before he gets out of high school and whatever he chooses to do. You got to be careful how you spend your money. You do. And I'm not trying to, condemn anybody from having a good time. Like, hey, this is the one time of the year some people get a piece of the pie that they've been trying to bake for the past 365 days, going to work and whatnot, seeing money being deducted for this tax, that tax. So that money is a come up. But just be wise with what God provides you with, because sometimes, he'll see the boy who cried wolf, so to speak, in terms of, oh God, I'm in a bind. But every time God bails you out, you prove like, okay, I gave you provisions, my child, but you aren't wise with it. So that's my quote unquote advice for this upcoming tax week. Make sure you're not frugal with what God provides you with. I hope that, you're given the rations, if you will, that are needed to make it through this tough time, because I have no idea what the future holds. I tell you that right now. Things are just so tight. It's tough out here. I'm blessed to, for the most part, be caught up on my bills. At least the major things are no doubt paid, like mortgage, credit card program I'm in, foods in the cabinet and fridge, a light bills paid, going to pay my Wi-Fi in a few days here. And I just hope that God, continues to provide not just for myself, but to everybody listening here. So just make sure you lean on God, showcase that you're not wasting what he's blessed you with. And if nothing else, showing that you're good with what you're given could lead to you being blessed with more as the Lord sees fit. Now, with that being said, I hope everybody has a wonderful week. Hopefully get this channel back off the ground pretty soon. And I'll talk to you all in the next video.